Hello, my fellow aviators. Welcome back to another video in my series on Foreflight. In today's video, we're going to talk about the airports section of Foreflight and some of the pieces of information that I like to extract from that particular section of the app. So without further ado, let's hop over into Foreflight and have a look. All right, so on your screen, you can see, I'm going to pull up a different airport here. We'll pull up a local one. Nampa Municipal Airport. And so all of the information, there's quite a bit of information right here at the top of it. I can't draw on it to highlight it for you, but under where it says Nampa, you can see airport elevation and latest weather is VFR, winds 170 at 15, gusting 23. That's a good windy day. Air pattern altitude, whether there's fuel, the AWOS frequency, and so forth. And I would encourage you, so let's start on the info tab. So on the info tab, the very first thing you're going to get typically, if there is an AWOS, which most airports will have some type of weather observation service, you're going to see a frequency or a phone number. Then you're going to see the number to call. Let's say you're on the ground at Nampa and you are wanting to file an IFR departure and you need a clearance. Well, there's going to be a phone number for you to call. Now, of course, you could get your clearance in the air. You can depart VFR and pick up your clearance in the air, in which case you wouldn't use the phone number. You'd use whatever the appropriate radio frequency was. And then you've got your CTAF, and then you've got a CTAF frequency, I should say. And then you've got whatever approach frequency, in this case, Big Sky Approach 119.6, which oddly enough is out of service and has been for quite some time. There's departure frequency. For those of you who are local, the replacement frequency for this is 125.5. I have no idea why it hasn't been updated because 19.6 has been out of service for I can't even remember how long. And then flight services, phone number, and so forth. Now, you can get access to the AFD where there's all sorts of additional information about the airport, runway lengths and fuel and the whole shebang, but we won't get too far into that for now. It'll show you nearby airports, and there is some additional bits of information down here if you need a rental car or something like that. Now I want to hop over into the weather tab. So the weather tab has some pretty important subtabs. We've got METAR, TAF, MOS, daily, and winds. So the METAR, in case you aren't familiar with it, is pretty much what the computer system says is happening right now. So at 1:55 p.m., and 1:55 MST, winds are 170, 15, gusting 23. Like I said, that's a pretty windy day. Visibility 10 miles, clouds below 12,000, etc., etc. Then you've got the TAF, where you can access the forecast discussion. So the TAF is basically, there's human intervention in writing the TAF. They're good. They're renewed about, I believe it's 4 times per day. And you can also access the forecast discussion if you would like to read that as well. And then you've got the MOS, which is another computer model based weather forecast. So you've got that here. You can see there's 3 o'clock current, and then the next one, that expires at 8, and the next one starts at 8 p.m. MST. And the TAF does the same thing, by the way. It says 3 p.m., which is the current TAF. That TAF's good until 5 p.m. The next TAF is at 5 p.m. And you can see at the 5 p.m. TAF, we've got showers in the vicinity. Now, one tab that you may or may not use a lot is this daily tab. And I really like this a lot when I'm looking to figure out, hey, I'm planning a trip, 2 or 3 days from now. What's the weather likely to be? So we're filming this on a Wednesday, November the 20th. So let's say I was planning on departing on Friday. So I could click on Friday and I could see right away starting at 8 a.m. that we've got VFR. We've got ceilings that are way up there at 15,000 at 8 in the morning. They do come down a little bit later on in the day. Not a big deal, though. We've got visibility pretty much remains at 10 statute miles. And then you can see the winds in the next line, at 8 a.m., that's winds 152, 11 gusting 20, and then we've got 151, 11 gusting 21, etc. And that's one of the things, especially if you're a VFR pilot, do make sure you're paying attention to the wind forecast because that can cause you some grief, to be sure. And then down here along the bottom, if you want to click on Saturday, or you want to click on Sunday, or you want to click on Monday. So it's a bit of a nice long range forecast. Now, is it super duper accurate? It's reasonably accurate. I'll leave it to Foreflight to be the definitive answer on how accurate it is, but I do find it to be a very useful tool for me when I am making some of my plans. A couple of other things here that we're going to look at. So we've got the runway section. So here you can see right now that Foreflight is saying the best winds are down runway 11. We've got a headwind of 11 to 17 knots and a crosswind of 10 to 16 knots. So if you're flying a 172 with a max crosswind component rather 15 knots, you're going to be towards the outer edge of that envelope. And then over here, if you click on this, you're going to see this section that I'm scrolling here. You can get runway lengths, you can get the actual magnetic heading, you can see if there's a slope or what the lighting is, and what have you. So if you're going to an airport that you've never been to before, it is part of, for example, NW Craft, you need to know runway lengths of intended use. So this would be how you would get some of that information. And then if you want to examine what IFR procedures are available, well, before you even get into procedures, actually, we've got airport diagrams. We've got two pieces of information here. You can see I have a Jepson subscription, so you may not see, well, if you don't have one, you definitely won't see anything other than the FAA plates and charts, but I can pull up a Jepson chart that gives me the airport info. It gives me takeoff minimums and information that I might need to plan my departure. And then if we go down here to departure, you can see that we've got two departures, the ADEXI 1 and the CADKey 1 departure. And then in both of those are obviously in Jepson because I have a Jepson subscription. But if you don't have Jepson, you'll see them down under the FAA section. And then we've got arrivals where there is no IFR arrival for this other than alternative minimums. And then we've got approaches, which at Nampa, you've got the RNAV GPS runway 11 and the RNAV GPS B. And then, of course, you want to make sure if you're going somewhere that you check NOTAMs, because NOTAMs can be very, very important. Funny side story. When I went to Canada recently, I did check the NOTAMs and I saw the words dry, 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 but there was no mention of fuel. And it never occurred to me in a million years that Western Canada would be completely out of avgas, but that was the case. And the reason was because the refinery had broke. And so very, very few airports in Western Canada had any avgas to sell. And I was very lucky that I was able to get some and continue my journey to an airport further north in Canada that had even more avgas, oddly enough. But nonetheless, the moral of the story there is make sure that you are doing a good job of checking your NOTAMs. And then finally up here in the top right-hand corner, we've got 3D view, which if you've never been to an airport before, there's the Nampa airport down there. You know, it allows you to really kind of just take a look at the airport. We've got the hangars there and we've got the Tower Grill, which is this, you can't see it because I can't, it's this building over, where is the Tower Grill? This one, I can't even draw on it. So anyway, so you've got a 3D view. You can get information about the FBOs. You can get a taxiway diagram, and also if there are comments left in the Foreflight app, you can use, or you can read those comments there. All right, guys, so that is an overview of the airport section of Foreflight. As I mentioned to you, there's a lot of information there. It's very, very useful. And if you haven't spent any time clicking around, I strongly encourage that you do so. And speaking of clicking around, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, there's a lot more good content on this channel. And I would encourage you to become a subscriber and click the little bell so that you get notifications of future videos. If your email's more your jam, you can also go to flywithtrent.com and you can enter your email address there and I will send you an email each time I publish a new long form video like this. And finally, if you've enjoyed this video, it would be sure really awesome if you would click that like button to tell the algorithm that you thought this was a good video. And if you have questions or comments, even if it's just a thumbs up, all of that is engagement that the algorithm sees. I would love it if you would like and comment below the video. Thank you so much. We will see you in another video soon. Take care. Bye-bye.